Hey, Khumo family, it's your boy Ryan Gibson here with another mini master. Although a little bit different than we usually do, this one is not live. The first of our beginning series of non-live mini masters, because we want to be able to give you guys more content, more information, and do it in a much quicker way so that I'm not held hostage by time. So today we're going to be talking about sound design. It says sound design for film, but realistically it's sound design in general. The reality is, how important is this? Super important. So if you're going to be doing a production, you got to be asking yourself, what is this? Do I know what this is? Do I understand what this is? So sound design, in a nutshell, is any and all sound you're hearing on camera, on film. So we're talking about everything from me speaking right now, to the background noises, if there is any, to the sound of a jet going by, this being picked up and put down, conversation happening in the corner. Think about a movie where you're having a full scene where someone's having a conversation in a restaurant. You might start the scene off where you hear everybody in the restaurant, sort of the background hum or the hum of the restaurant. This conversation's kind of bleeding in and out. And if you're walking into the room, you might, as the person walking in, pick up on a conversation that's closer to you, while other conversations that are further away are much more in the background. Someone's doing that. Someone is sitting down, your sound engineer is doing that to ensure that you're getting the best possible feel. Somebody once said the best thing about sound is that you shouldn't notice it if you're doing your job correctly. So if it's done correctly, you shouldn't be sitting there going, oh my God, I noticed the sound design is amazing. Obviously, those of us in the industry, we notice it. But the average person watching a film or a television show or a music video for that matter, you don't want them to notice that the sound has been designed as it is. But that's what you're doing. You're ensuring that from every bit of frame, anything that happens, from the wind blowing to the sound of, like I said, and this is like called Foley sound. They'll sometimes have this nowadays. It used to be back in the day that someone would sit in a room and they would do this sound over and over until it sounded just the way they wanted it to sound. The sound of opening the can. And then what ended up happening over time is people just started recording this stuff and they put it in a digital file that they can then access later, so they didn't have to go look for them. So you have the sound of the wind. Like for instance, in Jurassic Park, did you know that the sound of the dinosaur, of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, is partly formed from the sound of a truck, a big 10-wheeler truck going by. So the next time you're in a car and a truck goes by, roll down the window and listen to it. You'll hear it. It's like, and you can kind of go, that sounds familiar. And then of course they added layers and layers of other sound on top of it to create that signature sound of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So make sure that in your production, one of the things you're doing early on is you're making sure that sound is important. Why is it super important? Think of the movie Quiet Place. In the movie The Quiet Place, almost, 75% of that film was literally quiet. It starts off with a literal bang, and then everything just keeps going. It goes heighten. And then we realize very quickly that sound is drawing the creatures to us. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it. And then all of a sudden, after that, the rest of the movie becomes silent. The sound design on that, you would think there isn't any, but there is. If you listen to it, it's the sound of the wind. It's the sound of people walking. It's the sound of people breathing. It's these little sounds that people are trying hard not to make big sounds to draw the monster to them. Somebody has to do that. Somebody has to design it. Somebody leaves the room. These are things that are important. Why is this super important? Try watching your favorite movie without the sound. Just mute it and let it play. You may not get what's happening. If there is a way for you to turn only the background sound off, if you have that ability, if you're watching it on your computer and you have the ability to just drop all the background feed, do that and just listen to it with just the audio. Let people just talk and let everything else disappear. Everything sounds hollow. The world sounds empty. It sounds flat because that's not how we experience the world. We experience the world in a very kind of all sensory way. So obviously in a theater, you're not always going to be able to give people the sense of smell or taste, but you can give them a sense of feel, of sound, obviously, sight. So you want to make sure that those things are fulfilling so that they circumvent and support the missing pieces. So I remember once upon a time they attempted many years ago in the States to have a theater where they pumped the smells of what was happening the scenes in an attempt to heighten the experience. Of course, that didn't work too well. They tried. Sometimes, people try different things in an attempt to kind of elevate the industry. That one did not really settle. I think it was unsettling for people. I think it was too jarring to smell the city streets when you're in the middle of the theater. It threw people off. But the reality is, you can feel that. We've all been in a city street, and if you haven't, well, get out more. But you should have been there at least one time, and you'll have a sense of what that smell would be. But then you could be able to help it with the sound design, the sounds of what's happening all around you. So I'm going to harp on this really hard because a lot of films can live and die off of this moment. If the sound is bad, and I'm not just talking about everything from the actor speaking, but the background sounds are off, the timings are off, or somebody does something, or someone leaves a room, but you never hear them leave the room. Because we don't see them leave the room, doesn't mean we shouldn't still hear them leave the room. So you want to make sure that we're fighting those tendencies to not put those things in. Those simple layers, those simple touches, elevate a production. They take it from something simple to something magnificent, where people will sit there and they'll be in awe of what you're giving them. So even let's talk music. The choice of music sometimes will fall into sound design. What are we deciding this is supposed to be? This feeling that we want to help people feel, that we want conveyed. Oftentimes, in many films that we've seen over the years, people overdo the music or underdo the music, especially in the people who are starting out in low-budget productions or productions that they themselves are financing, self-financed productions. They don't often understand what they're trying to say musically, or the exact opposite. They think they know what they're saying, and they're saying it so heavy-handed that you're sitting there going, oh, they want me to cry right now. Because the music is so, that you're supposed to feel something. They're forcing the emotion on you because for whatever reason, maybe the scene itself is not conveying it. But as I said, as with music, the sound design should feel like something that's seamless. It should feel like something that was weaved into your story in a very simple and honest way. There are not a lot of really talented people who can do this job here on the continent, as far as I'm aware. They may exist in places like Nigeria where their industries are strong, or South Africa. If there are other places that I miss, I apologize. Let me know. I want to hear about it. I want to know where the best sound design artists, the sound design engineers exist, so that we can start reaching out to these people to have them be a part of what we're building here, or let other people know where they can find them. Because this is such an important part of the experience of any movie. When you're watching a movie, everything from the moment that it comes on screen, that the credits start to roll for the opening credits of the film, is all sound design. There's a feeling you're trying to convey, a vibe, an energy, a state that you want people to already be placed into. If you don't have the right person at the helm, they could put the people in the wrong place. And all of a sudden, you have yourself watching a movie about love, and it's supposed to be serious, but they've played a melody or a tone that's too whimsical or too offbeat, that people are now either feeling way too happy, or they're feeling very much like, oh, I'm not sure what I should be feeling. I feel like something bad might be happening. Think of the sound design in your favorite horror movies. Those are those places, horror movies, sci-fi movies, where you really are paying attention. You might want to pay attention to them next time you watch. Horror movie, it's usually the tone of the music, the theme of the bad guy, when they're going to attack, when they might attack, setting up those jump scares, those moments when you go, when the creature may have gotten somebody, may not have gotten somebody, or somebody may be killed or may not be killed by the bad guy. Those are those moments you want. And then all of a sudden when it does happen and the music jumps up and then you're with it. That's a gift, to be able to take your time and create and build a moment. You're layering it and you're pulling the audience along the ride. You're not creating the emotion. The film itself should have already done that. The job of the sound engineer is to layer the emotion so that you're feeling it even deeper, so that you're being pulled along with the music even before the moment happens. So if there's going to be a huge argument, you already get the sense something's off. And then the guy walks into the room, and then the sound and the music, everything, maybe the sound all strips away. That's a decision. It gets completely dead and flat because now it's just me and her in a room yelling at each other. And then when I'm done, we're just sitting there quiet. And the only thing you're hearing is my heavy breathing because I'm so frustrated. Or her heavy breathing because she's so frustrated. Those are all things you want to make sure that you're clear on. So when you're picking your sound engineer, make sure they understand that. When you're looking at their work, look at not only what they do in the big moments, because that's obviously important, but look at what they're doing in the quiet moments, in those whispered moments, in those intimate moments, when the characters are nose to nose in a moment of emotional crisis. How are they conveying it? Are they conveying it? Can you feel what they want you to feel? Are you walking away going, oh, I know exactly what that was? And if you're not, then maybe that's not the person you want to work with on this particular project. But I highly recommend that when you're looking to hire your staff, because this is sometimes people forget about the sound. And then all of a sudden during post-production, they're crying that the sound was bad. So if you don't want that to happen to you, ensure that you're getting a strong sound person, a strong sound engineer, someone who understands the nuances of a room and all the different rooms that you're in. Rooms with higher ceilings require a certain way that they're gonna have to set it up. Rooms with lower ceilings, rooms that are wider, rooms that are empty, and it's just you or you and another person. Outside, inside, what should we be hearing? What's gonna enhance your story? It always comes back to what's going to be in support of the greatest version of your story. So make sure that, and I'm harping. Thank you, Grant Housley. You were the one who pushed this on my head many years ago, and I'm so happy that you did. It was a great lesson to recognize that sound design can make or break an already good film. So if your film is good, sound design can make it a great film. If it's a good film and the sound design is bad, it can make it mediocre. It can pull it down because all of a sudden the emotion gets tampered with, it gets messed with in the beautiful scenes that you may have constructed. All of a sudden the sound will screw it up. So please, please, please take your time, everybody, and ensure that any production you're gonna do, your sound engineer are top notch. That the people you have doing sound on set know what they're doing. And that you as a producer, as a director, and maybe even sometimes as the actor, listen to the sound that they're getting so that you understand how it's coming across. Because you may be sounding echoey, you may be airy, you may be off, and you may not know it, or they may not know it because they don't know what they're doing. So make sure we take our time when it comes to sound. So in the words of Beyonce, listen to the sound here in your stage and make sure that it sounds perfect. All right, and I look forward to chatting with you guys again. This was a simple one. It was really easy. It's right to the point. Usually this is around the time where I would open it up to questions and concerns. I still want to open it up to questions and concerns. Please forward them. Please let us know. You guys have our information. Send it to us. And then I'll make sure to touch base with them on the next video, because we're going to be doing 3 a day right now. So we're knocking out 3 videos right now. So when this one's done, if your question doesn't get answered on the next one or the one after, best believe it'll get answered on the one after that. All right, thank you guys all, as always. And remember, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to watch and support everything that Khumo Studios is doing here on the continent. Talk to you guys again soon. Bye.